Hey, I'm Courtney Waterman, your tutor. Lover of anime, manga, and math. And you just tuned into another session of Tutor Me Sempai. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're jumping into an 11th grade topic, coterminal angles. Now, if you're new to my channel, I'll be putting time codes in for this video in the description box below, so use that to skip ahead to whatever part of the video you think is most interesting. As always, if you have any questions about what we saw today, or even on homework, you can always put in the comment box below, or visit my Facebook page, at Tutor Me Sempai, and tell me all about it there. At the end of the video, I'll be linking my 11th grade playlist in which I cover a lot more topics, so if you're interested in that, make sure you stay tuned. This video is going to have 3 parts, so leave a like, smash the subscribe, and let's get started! Now let's begin with a definition of our coterminal angles. Now, just like the title of this video suggests, coterminal angles are going to be any 2 angles that have the same terminal side. So if any 2 angles end at the same place, they're going to be considered coterminal angles. But what does this mean visually? Well, let's say you have an angle. On your x-axis, you always start on your x-axis, and you're going to draw some angle theta. And that is going to be your terminal side of this angle theta. In order to be a coterminal angle to this angle theta, you're going to have to end at the same terminal side. Now, it doesn't matter if you're in degrees or radians, it's going to be true for both. Any coterminal angle has to end at the same terminal side. That means that if you're starting here and you go a full 360 degrees and then you hit this line, you are considered a coterminal angle because you are stopping here. Let's say you did 2 loops. Let's say instead of just 1 loop, you went all the way around and did it again and hit that same line. Doesn't matter. You are still going to be considered a coterminal angle because you're starting always at this x-axis and you're ending at the same terminal side. This also means that you can start here and go clockwise. You don't always have to go counterclockwise. As long as you're always starting at this x-axis and you're ending at your terminal side, it doesn't matter which side of the terminal side you're ending on. As long as you end on that terminal side, you are going to be considered a coterminal angle. That means you can start here and just end there, or you can do another full rotation and end there. It doesn't matter how many rotations you do, as long as you end at the same terminal side, you will be considered a coterminal angle. But mathematically, how do we find coterminal angles? Well, you're going to do the same thing whether you're in radians or degrees. It doesn't really matter. You're going to follow the same principles. The only difference is that if you're in degrees, you're going to be focusing on the rotation defined by 360 degrees. If you're in radians, you're going to be defining that rotation instead of by 360 degrees by 2 pi. And you'll see what I mean. If we're in degrees, our formulas versus radians is going to be this. So if you're trying to find a coterminal angle, you're going to first start at your theta, and you're going to either add or subtract n times 360 degrees. N times 360 degrees, where n is going to be the number of full rotations. So number of full rotations. These 2 formulas will give you your coterminal angles if you're in degrees. If you're in radians, you're going to start at the same theta, and instead of doing n times 360, you're going to be doing n times 2 pi. So theta minus n times 2 pi. Now n can be 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't really matter. It's just going to define how many loops you're going to be doing. But all of them are going to be coterminal to this first theta and to each other. That means any coterminal angle you find this way, it's going to have to be coterminal to another angle you find this way. But let's jump into a few examples in which you try to find coterminal angles given some initial angles. So in these examples, we're going to be focused on 4 angles given in degrees. We'll do radians next, but we're going to look at these 4 angles given in degrees and try to figure out what their coterminal angles would be. We're going to match these. However, notice we have some negative angles here, as well as some really big angles. But these negative angles, what do they mean? Well, going back to our example, or our illustration even, we're going to normally do this. Find our theta going from our x-axis, traveling counterclockwise up, which results in a positive angle. Well, if you do the reverse and you go clockwise, you're going to now get a negative angle. The negative really just tells you which direction you're traveling. Are you going clockwise or are you going counterclockwise? If you're going counterclockwise, you're going to result in your normal positive angles. If you're going clockwise, you're going to result in a negative angle. That's all the negative angles really mean. Whether you're in degrees or radians, the same thing holds true. So now we've clarified our negative angles, let's get to matching our initial angles with our coterminal angles. If you want to work this out yourself and see if you can match these initial angles to their proper coterminal angles, I recommend pausing the video now. Once you're ready, hit that play button and see if your answers match what I'm about to show you. Okay, assuming you're back, we're going to start with number 1. Number 1, we have negative 900 degrees, and we want to figure out which one of these is going to be the coterminal angle. Well, I'm going to tell you that 1 is going to match with C, negative 180 degrees. We're going to add multiples of 360 until we get to 180 degrees. Now, for 715 degrees, for number 2, what is that going to be? Well, 715 degrees is going to be D. D, 355 degrees. If we were to subtract 360 degrees, we would end up here. Now, 3, negative 15 degrees. Well, that's going to be B, negative 735 degrees. If we went even more negative, subtracting a lot more multiples of 360 degrees, we would end up at negative 735 degrees. Now that means that 150 degrees would have to be A, 1230 degrees. We're going to be adding a bunch of 360s, positive 360s to get up here. Your answers, how do they match with what I have here? If you got them all correct, great job. If you got some of them correct, great job. If you missed all of these, no worries. Keep practicing, I'm sure you'll get it next time. Now let's jump into our final examples, our radians. Welcome to our final examples, our radians. Now we're going to do the same exact thing we did for the degrees. We're going to match our initial angles with our potential coterminal angles. And if you want to figure this out yourself, pause now. All right, assuming that you figured out your answers and you're back, let's see what does 17 pi over 2 match with. What's going to be the coterminal angle? Well, that is going to be D, 5 pi over 2. Now we have this. What's that going to match with? Well, that's going to be B, negative 8 pi over 3. How about 5 pi over 3? Well, that's going to be A, negative 7 pi over 3. And this negative 5 pi over 2 is going to go to C, 3 pi over 2. And we're going to be adding and subtracting various multiples of 2 pi. Remember, 2 pi because we're in radians. How did you do this time? Did you get them all? If so, great job. Did you get at least some of them? If so, great job as well. And if you missed all of them, no worries. Like I said before, you can do this. Keep practicing and I'm sure you'll get it next time. Well, I hope you were able to follow along with today's examples and I hope you now know how you can find your coterminal angles. But if you have any questions about what we saw today or even on homework, you can always put in the comment box below or visit my Facebook page at Tutor Me Sempai and tell me all about it there. If you hadn't done so already, remember to leave that like. It really helps the channel by letting YouTube know that you found the video helpful. And if you found the video helpful, so can someone else. So leave a like, hit the notification bell, smash the subscribe button, and share this video with a friend. Well, that's all the time I have for today. I really hope this helped with your homework, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week. I'm Courtney, this is your playlist, and this has been another session of Tutor Me Sempai.